Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? I've got myself a new little toy. I'm really excited to try it out. Will it work? I don't know. That's what we're gonna find out. What is it? 34 blade meat tenderizer. So the idea is you're gonna put this on your steak, keep pushing down, and you're gonna get a whole bunch of punctures through that meat, and it's gonna cut through any fat and tendons, gristle, anything that's gonna be a little bit chewy in your meat. A lot of people don't like these. They say that if you have bacteria on the surface of your meat, typically you would cook this off when it's on the barbecue or in the pan. When you use a meat tenderizer, it's actually going to push that bacteria right into the meat. I'm not too worried about it, to be perfectly honest. I eat raw oysters, raw eggs on raw meat for a steak tartare. You know, they also say you shouldn't be having medium rare burgers from grocery store beef. But I do that too, and I'm still alive. Is it the smartest thing? I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. Maybe for someone with a low immunity, children, old people, maybe stay away. But for me, not going to worry too much about it. And if it makes a damn good steak, I'm going to continue using it. We have today 2 steaks. So not only is this going to be a tenderization test, it's going to be what steak do I like better test. So that'll be pretty cool. Our first one we have here is a Piccata steak. Usually sold in Brazil, one of their favorite cuts of meat. In Canada here, it's called a top sirloin cap. Not a whole lot of fat on it, as in marbleization, but then you have a nice big fat cap on the end. Seasoned well, it's just going to come out beautifully. Quite tender, very flavorful, very good beefy flavor to it. Another steak that we're going to be going with today is from my favorite butcher, Hopcock Farms. Both of these are from them, but this is one of their specialty cuts. They call it the farmer's favorite, and actually it's a top blade steak, and I mean, it's been one of my favorites. Both are actually pretty cheap cuts. I think this steak was about $8. This one was slightly more at about $9 or $10. So very reasonably priced, tons of flavor, and you can check out all the gorgeous marbling in this piece of meat. So what we're going to do for this today is I'm going to cut both of them in half. I'm going to be tenderizing one side of each of these steaks. We'll be cooking them up to a, I'd say, rare to medium rare doneness, and then we'll be testing each steak original without tenderization to it, and then we're going to be tasting the other sides of each steak with it that have been tenderized and see which one turns out better. So let's cut these here, approximately half. Standard. Let's do a quick tenderization of these. Got my machine out. You just push it down. And we are now blade tenderizing this. You can see it's actually pushing the steak down quite a bit. It takes quite a bit of force there, which I don't love. We'll see how that affects the steak. But if you look at this really closely, you can see a ton of little puncture marks. But got it plumped up there again. Let's do the next one. I have a feeling because the farmer's favorite steak has a lot more internal fat to it, that it might actually have a better result with this meat tenderizer. But we shall find out. I'm very excited to see which one turns out better. So here we go. We have our control steaks and our tenderized steaks. Let's cook them up and see which tastes better. Before we cook them up, we're going to want to season them, because we're going to do a test run of flavor and tenderness. I'm not really going to add too much flavors and spices to it. It's going to be simple Himalayan pink sea salt and freshly cracked black pepper. And we're going to do that on both sides of these steaks. Okay guys, let's cook. Hey guys, our steaks are cooked. We're ready to cut into them. Really excited for this. So we've got our 2 control steaks over here. We have our 2 tenderized steaks over here. Our farmer's favorite, the Picanha farmer's favorite. Let's cut into them. Wow, these steaks look beautiful. Let's get into them. And let's get a closer look. Time to taste. We have here the farmer's favorite, tenderized. That's pretty good. Now let's do it untenderized. To be honest, not much of a difference. So with the Picanha, good steak, tenderized. Now let's do the untenderized. Much chewier. So, conclusion is, all excellent steaks. I really do like the farmer's favorite the best. I guess because maybe it's a fattier steak, the tenderization didn't really do as much to it. Both were really good. When it came down to the leaner Picanha cut, I could definitely taste the difference between the tenderized and the untenderized. At the end of the day, I would have to say my favorite is still going to be the farmer's favorite. Okay, have a good night, guys. Cheers. Hey guys, we finished all the steaks. Let's come to some conclusions. So, all 4 absolutely delicious steaks. No problem there. When we start with my first question, which is the better cut, or which one is my favorite anyways out of the kind of 2 cheaper quality steaks, I love the Picanha and I love the farmer's favorite. The Picanha is a sirloin cap steak, whereas the farmer's favorite, I think I said earlier top something, but I've been corrected. It's actually the bottom blade from the chuck steak. Delicious, absolutely delicious, a lot more fat to it. I think my wife and I both agree the farmer's favorite bottom blade chuck steak was much better. Just seems a little bit juicier, a little bit softer. I think there's a lot more fat in it. The Picanha was great, a little bit firmer, a little bit more dense was how we described it. Now when we come to the second question, meat tenderizer, yay or nay? To be honest, I think I'm going to say nay. When it comes down to the Picanha, I could tell the difference slightly. If I didn't know that I did it, I might not know the difference, but maybe psychologically I preferred the one over the other just because I know I did do the tenderization to it. As for the farmer's favorite, which has a little bit more fat, the bottom blade chuck steak, no, could not tell the difference. Wife couldn't tell the difference. They're both absolutely excellent, soft, juicy, very flavorful. I think it is because that steak has a lot more fat in it, so there was no maybe meat less meat and protein to break down, whereas because the Picanha was a little bit more of a denser steak, that you could tell the difference a little bit more, which kind of leads me to believe if I keep my meat tenderizer, I'm gonna enjoy it a little bit more with the tougher cuts, maybe a brisket or some chickens or maybe lamb. But as for a already pretty tender steak, it doesn't really help so much. Am I gonna return it for 15 bucks? Nah, I'll just keep it. And I'll try it again on something else. You might see another video, but for now, would I use it again for a steak? Probably not. No, not going to bother. Just the amount of effort it takes to use the product and then clean it afterwards. I don't think it's worth it. But at the end of the day, I had 4 delicious steaks. So I call today a win. I'm going to cheers, guys. Have a good night.